I'm George O'Hare. Welcome to our show today. The title of our show is 2008 Presidential Election. That's a powerful statement. 2008 will go down in history as one of the greatest years of elections in the history of the United States of America and possibly the world. But this show is being taped the day after it to get some very important people what they think about what happened. And as we go around the panel, you'll hear that. Father George Clements is the Catholic priest who done a lot of crazy things as a priest, being a priest, and the cardinal at that time wasn't too thrilled, Cardinal Cody. But one of the things he did was adopt children and caused a tremendous success in adoption of children that were not being adopted. My question to you, Father, and to the rest of the panel as we go along, is what did yesterday, November 4th election of the President-elect of the United States of America, what did that mean to you personally?
Personally, it meant that I would have to readjust my entire thinking about white folks because I had to go through so many intensely hostile periods in my life in dealing with Caucasians, and I never dreamed that I would get to the point where I would have to say, Father Clements, you were wrong, because you really didn't believe that white people would ever elect a black president. And so what it means to me is that I have to accept the fact that you go through life and sometimes you can carry a notion in your mind and it's just wrong. And now I've reached a point where after yesterday when I say, wow, I am blessed to be in the United States of America.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. We're going to go in cycle here across the board, but my director said do it that way, but I'm going to pass up Michael Rabbitt and save you for last because I got a reason. I want to now go to Hermine Hartman, publisher for Indigo. And I might add that Reverend Jesse Jackson teamed us together to be the PR people for Reverend Jesse when he first came to Chicago when he was 23 years old.
No, George, I wasn't around then. A lot later for me. I don't know how old he was, but I know I wasn't around. I was in grammar school.
All right. But tell us, you're a publisher of a MAGA paper, Indigo, and you were City College's vice chancellor, and you were deeply involved in the civil rights movement. Now, what was your feeling like? Father Clements said his. Did yesterday do to you?
George, I think I probably wrote it in an article called America Transformation. Last week, before the election, that was what we wrote. Mm-hmm. And I think America has been transformed. Kind of piggybacking on Father Clement's remarks, America has been transformed. I mean, race relations has changed. Black folks will look at white folks differently, and white folks will look at black folks very differently. I was with some people yesterday doing kind of political analysis for Foreign Council of something, but largely it was a white audience. There was not one black person other than me in the room. And one of the things I answered when they asked, what does an Obama win mean? I said, there will be no more rooms like this. No more rooms like this. Diversity, I think integration has fused. I want to call it the fusion of integration. Dr. King integrated American society, but it was on paper, and still, if you walked into a classroom or a restaurant, you had black people over here, and you had white people over here. I think yesterday we fused, whereby you will be able to be judged fully for your ability. I think yesterday black Americans got full citizenship in the American process.
Reverend Al Sampson, how many years have you been a pastor?
I've been at my church 52 years in the ministry.
32 years at church.
At the church.
Reverend Al Sampson, I first met you when you were outside of Mount Pisgah Church one night when Dr. King spoke, and you were on the corner doing another speech, and you had a bigger crowd than you had inside the place, and you were preaching on the corner, and I stood there and watched you, and you were just magnificent. And then I learned about you being the only person that was ordained by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That was a part of his organization, the Southern Christian
Southern
Leadership
Christian
Conference.
Leadership. Now, right now, you're a pastor of Fernwood United Methodist Church at 101st
That's correct.
and
Wallace.
And you've been there 33 years.
Right.
Tell us your story about what happened to you yesterday watching the presidential election.
Well, I felt that it was a great moment in time. That was one of the dimensions. As you know, politics is just a tunnel you pass through. It's not a house that you live in. We as Africans in America can't institutionalize ourselves inside the political system, but we can pass through and get access to the kind of resources that Sister Hermine was talking about. I just feel that it's a challenge for our people not to put a lot of hope in the White House until President-elect Barack Obama straightens out the White House and makes it the right house. Because I think there's a lot been wrong with the White House.
Now, I have a young man here that I thought about, kind of a funny thing. I said, gee, I got to get somebody white on the show. And so I called Sister Anita, who heads up the Racial Justice Office of the Archdiocese. I said, could I get this guy's number? And she said, yes. So I called Michael Rabbitt, and I didn't realize who I was talking to. I knew he was doing a lot of work in the Archdiocese, but Michael Rabbitt, you are with the Archdiocese of Chicago, I mean, a volunteer on racial justice and et cetera, but you also, for the last, I don't know, week or two, you tell us what that is, have been out there working in the campaign for Barack Obama. I'll add one more thing. I talked to your wife at great length last night, and if someone went in the civil rights movement years ago, and everybody around them, including their family, would say, what are you doing that for? That's crazy. What's wrong? And today, though, young wives and young men like yourself and your age group are the people, in my opinion, that help put Barack in. White, black, brown, yellow, red, and so on. Michael, go ahead.
Yesterday was one of the most exciting days of my life. And I can't even imagine what it must be like for African Americans in this country. It must be tenfold the emotions that I experienced yesterday. But I have been, a huge supporter and admirer of Barack Obama since 2004. I worked on his Senate campaign and have, joined the legions of volunteers that helped elect him president this year. I enjoyed spending some time in Indianapolis yesterday, getting out the vote, and it was just a great experience for me and obviously for so many young Americans who turned this into a movement. This is really the dawning, I think, of a new era in America. I'm so proud of our country, and I think it just opens up possibilities for so many young people in this country that they could become president just like Barack Obama. Now, having said that, I think there is sort of a cautionary tale to add to what has happened here. During the election and since the election, we've heard a lot of talk about Barack Obama being post-racial and that America is now post-racial. One of the things I think we have to talk about and be concerned about in the aftermath of this great achievement is we already have so many white Americans who deny the existence of racism. But it's still a problem in this country. And I'm concerned that by having Barack Obama elected president, people can say, well, we're all wash our hands of it and say we're done, and that we can stop talking about race. And that would be a critical mistake. We cannot allow that to happen. We just know from recent events, Gina Six, Sean Bell, Hurricane Katrina, racism is with us. The disparities in health, wealth, education, employment, criminal justice system. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's a great moment. I don't want to take away from that. I think we should all exult in what has happened here. But I also don't want us to let our guard down.